Good morning, stupid. Welcome back to hashtag 360 stupid. We are stupid people asking you smart people simple questions. King of stupid here, Mike check, MICCCZECH as in the Republic. Welcome back, everybody. One and all, everybody is welcomed here. So we got ourselves a good clippy clip YouTube on CNN. This is well, she'll be introduced right here in a second.
And thank you, Secretary, for being here as well. Pleasure. I'm going to begin by asking you about the topic on everyone's mind right now. That is the decision back in 2018 to separate families and children, at the southern border. In April of 2018, a memo came before you when you were head of Homeland Security. And it read that if you signed it, you could permissibly direct the separation of parents or legal guardians and minors held in immigrant detention so the parent or legal guardian could be prosecuted. You signed that, allowing for the separation of parents and children at the southern border. Do you regret signing that memo?
Yeah, so I think, first of all,
let me see, just of all. This is fantastic skills. This lady was part of separating children from their families. Her skills of communication are superb. The question was, are you sorry that you did that? Hold on, let me first and take it away.
I just want to start by saying thank you all for having me here. I think these are very important. As we heard just before, there was some controversy, but from my view, these issues are so important that we really need more voices, and we need to be additive and find a way to come together to solve the problem and not work on taking people apart. It's very divisive, it's very emotional, it's very complex.
That's a cry out for help. Please don't tear me apart. I'm not here to be torn apart. We got to work together. I tore children from families, but don't tear me apart. I mean, she'll explain why she did it.
Lives are at stake. Many people have been affected, but unfortunately the reality is, and we'll talk more about this and I'll get to your question in 2 seconds, the system is broken.
I'll get to your question in 2 seconds. Does she ever answer the question? Let's take a listen.
You know, the rules, the laws, the facilities were all built during
2 seconds are gone.
The vast majority of people coming across the border were single males.
Another 2 seconds.
And so it was very easy to return them. It was a very short period of time, return them if they didn't have a legal right to stay. But now what we see is over 60% of those traveling here are families, and over 60% of those traveling are from other parts of the south of us, mostly from Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador. So the flows have changed, but the laws and the facilities have not. So we have a terrible mismatch, and we have a huge need to come together to solve this. With respect to the particular question, there is a lot of confusion about what happened and what didn't happen, and I do think it's really important to discuss.
It's confusing.
The only way we can get to solutions is when we
definitely
really understand what happened.
It's important to discuss. I think it's important to discuss so that you can hear me explain to you what happened. Okay? So let's have a conversation. The question was asked. Yeah, so to your question, there was a lot of confusion. Love it. Love it. You're confused because you're asking me a question. Now, the interviewer is actually quite in tuned and well set to prepared to ask the question repeatedly. This entire interview is based on one question that does not really get truly answered unless you're kind of, understanding the thing is that you're confused. We're confused. It's remarkable when people tell you that you're confused. Oh, I'm sorry that you got confused. Oh, that's interesting.
And what the facts are and what didn't happen. And I do think it's really important to discuss Because the only way we can get to solutions is when we really understand.
It's called burning time.
And what the facts are, and
Burn the
what
time.
worked and what didn't work, and what shouldn't have worked, and what perhaps could have worked better.
Secretary, I apologize. I know my time with you is limited, but to the memo that you endorsed in
Zero
April of 2018.
Yeah, so the Attorney General announced zero tolerance. Zero tolerance was the
Somebody else did it.
direction that a law be enforced. There is a law that says
Somebody else did it. The Secretary General, this guy, that guy. I didn't do it. I was just following the law. The question was, you signed suggesting or whatever. You signed to that, to do that, to enforce that, to go with that.
it's illegal to come into our country between ports of entry. There's 90 ports of entry, around 90 ports of entry on the southern border. What I did the entire time I was as Secretary is encourage people to go to the ports because it's much safer. This is a terrible journey that
Much
people
safer.
take to come here. Outside groups tell us 70% of migrants are victims of violence, 30% of women are raped.
From us.
We give pregnancy
By
tests
us.
to girls.
Also, when in captivity in our chains, they also do get beaten, raped. As a matter of fact, it's almost mandatory. If you talk to Americans, they will bend over backwards and forwards to protect the men that rape the children and women. This is happening now. We are spending 44 months of our work paying taxes to men that go around collecting children from their families, separating them, and of course raping them, beating them, doing horrible types of things. Horrible that I think is horrible, but from the American perspective, that's just the nature of what life must be. It's quite remarkable.
Young as 10, so that we can protect them when we receive them.
Protect them?
So the decision of zero
Who's going to
tolerance
protect them
was to
from us?
enforce a law.
Who's going to protect them from us? Now, this is funny. It's to enforce the law. If the law said put Jewish children in ovens, well, hey, it's the law, right? You had to do it. That's the law. But that's not the question, right? The question was, why did you sign into it, recommending it, focusing on that to prevent people to enter? We took their children away. That's what we are.
Unfortunately, we give pregnancy tests to girls as young as 10 so that we can protect them when we receive them.
Before or
So the
after you
decision of
rape
zero
them?
tolerance was to enforce a law.
To enforce the
Unfortunately, like everywhere in
law.
the United States, there isn't a
Unfortunately.
exclusion for purposes of immigrants. If a parent commits a crime, they go to a custodial setting and their child does not follow them. The idea and
Justification.
the concept of zero tolerance is decided by the Attorney General,
Justification.
was not to separate families. It was to enforce a law to encourage people to go to the ports of entry.
Right.
What happened, though, was out of the 49,000 children that came unaccompanied, meaning they were sent without their parents, there was a percentage of those that was added.
49,000. That's no joke. That's a lot of children. That's just children.
Added to
49,000.
that number was out of the 49,000 children that came unaccompanied, meaning they were sent without their parents. There was a percentage of those that was added to that number because their parents went into a prosecutorial setting. So I just want to be very clear as to what was decided and what was not decided.
I am, to be clear, asking you about your decision to sign a memo in April
Your
of
decision.
2018 that endorsed separating families
To endorse it.
at the southern border.
You
And it did
endorsed
not.
it.
What it did was it said we were going to enforce.
You signed the memo that endorsed it. We have the memo. It's signed. It's public record. No, that's not what it said. That's not what it did. I was just following the law. I'm just obeying the law.
The law.
There was no, to be clear, there is no federal law mandating separation of families.
No, there's a federal law that says that it's illegal to cross between ports of entry.
That's right.
The judge said that yes, it's illegal, and the judge said yes, in the United States we don't send kids to prison or to a custodial setting with their parents. The decision was to enforce the law, not to separate families. Any family.
I think we should be very clear about this. There was a
Let's
policy
be
change
very
at
clear.
DOJ that was called zero tolerance, that said now everyone crossing the southern border would be prosecuted. In order
Everybody.
to do that, they needed children separated from their parents so parents could be prosecuted. In your role as the head of Homeland Security,
Head of
you had to
Homeland.
allow for your agents to separate children from their family. You made that decision in the spring of 2018. I'm asking you if you regret making that decision.
I don't regret
I
enforcing the law
don't
because
regret.
I took an oath to do that, as did everybody at the department.
This is the problem. Once you think man's law is anything other than some garbage bullshit that the scum of the fucking world politicians got together and fucking scraped the lowest barrel of lawyers together to fucking make some bullshit laws, that's what American laws are. Today, we still have slavery. 13th Amendment of the United States Constitution justifies slavery as a form of punishment. It's just one sentence. Look it up. Slavery is abolished, comma, except as punishment for crimes. That's today, right now. We still have laws justifying slavery today, right now, here, today. So laws are stupid. If you worship laws, you are the lowest level of life because you're worshiping the dirtiest thing. American law is garbage. American law is designed to make money. It's designed to enslave humanity. It's designed to fucking empower the most dirtiest, corrupt people in the world. Politicians. We're so stupid. Dun, 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 dun. So let's go back to the law justifies taking children from families. That's what the law said.
You made that decision in the spring of 2018. I'm asking you if you regret making that decision.
I don't
I
regret
don't.
enforcing the law because I took an oath to do that, as did everybody at the Department of Homeland Security. We don't make the laws. We act.
There's also a part that says you're not supposed to obey any law. You're supposed to obey just law. So if you don't think it's just, then you should not obey that law. If the law says put Jewish children in oven, you should say no. That's not right. That's not what we're going to do. I stand against that. I will quit. I will get fired. You put me in the jail. That's what a good human being would do. Do you regret it? No, I don't regret taking children from their families because it was the law. That's what we are. Scummy fucking shit. Are you serious? Phenomenal. This lady is talented. Let's listen to her.
Congress to change the law.
Making that decision.
I don't regret.
You had to allow for your agents to separate children from their family. You made that decision in the spring of 2018. I'm asking you if you regret making that decision.
I don't regret enforcing the law because I took an oath to do that, as did everybody at the Department of Homeland Security. We don't make the laws. We asked Congress to change the law. Congress reviewed the law in 2006 and decided to continue to make it illegal to cross in that manner. What I do wish had worked a lot better is that the coordination and information flow were simply insufficient for that number of people coming. It's heartbreaking that any
She's
family
smiling when
felt
she
at
says
any time that
heartbreaking.
they had to cross the border illegally. Because this is a terrible,
She
dangerous
smiles
journey.
as she
Terrible.
says it's terrible.
So
and
what I regret
horrible.
is that we haven't solved it, and what I regret is that that information flow and coordination to quickly reunite the families was clearly not
Dirty.
in place, and that's why the practice was stopped through an executive order.
In the lead up
Dirty,
to
dirty,
that policy
dirty.
being signed, we know on the other side of the government, on HHS, where they were responsible for the care and custody of those children, they were raising red flags. They saw the numbers of children coming in, being separated, and said this will cause lifelong trauma and harm to these children. There should not be an official policy to separate children. We now know also in your agency, senior staff raised concerns about civil rights issues and trauma to children. Did anyone in the lead up to you signing off on family separation raise those concerns with you?
So everything was, of course, reviewed
No.
by the Office of Civil Rights and Civil Liberties. It was reviewed by the lawyers. These were the recommendations from
avoiding the
operational
question like
entities
a
to enforce the law, because
goddess.
from their perspective,
So
they're
talented.
law enforcement agencies.
Oh yeah,
taking
no, I don't know, do it.
and that's their duty.
That's what I'm
The
doing.
bigger challenge here is to prevent families from coming that way because it's extraordinarily dangerous. So yes, all of those people, if you followed the timeline as well, after the Attorney General made his announcement, we spent a month looking through, trying to make sure that we would do it and enforce the law in the most compassionate way possible. And what I mean by that is if you had children under 5, the policy was we would not
that sounds like
refer you to
bullshit.
prosecution, despite the fact that you had broken the law. And
But we
despite
know now that children under 5 were in fact separated.
Oh, yeah.
some of them,
Some
were.
of
If you
them,
look through the
you know,
court
I
cases,
mean.
though, there's other reasons why families
Sure.
were separated. If the adult accompanying them is not a parent, unfortunately, we saw a tremendous increase in fake families of adults, unfortunately, using
Secretary,
children.
but you and I both know that the number of fraudulent families, as they're classified, are statistically insignificant.
That's
in terms of
incorrect.
them crossing the
That's
border.
incorrect.
What's the percentage of fraudulent
It's
families?
over 500 families, and out of the 49,000 children that HHS had in its care that were unaccompanied, under 2,000 were because of the fact that their parents chose to break the law.
The El Paso